In the religious world, other people are actually objects, aren't they? I mean, you're really an object yourself, because your own inner essence isn't really much of anything. You're kind of an empty channel. You're not supposed to have a lot of inner intuition or knowledge or strength or love or capability, right? All of that is supposed to come from God. And when you get saved, you get cleansed of all your sin, and you're basically empty, and then you get filled with God. And then from then on, everything good that you do is because God is working through you, right? You're sort of channel. Of course, if you do anything bad or wrong against you, and you should be sorry. And then you're supposed to become like Jesus. And I must decrease, he must increase. So you're basically in the process of self-annihilation in order to be the best Christian you can. Self-denial, which is also true in most religions, is where you're supposed to deny your basic instincts and basic desires in order to be spiritual. You're not supposed to have all these desires of the flesh, and worst of all, sexual feelings. So most Christians can identify with all that stuff that Paul talked about in terms of being at war with himself, and constantly having this battle of having the spirit willing, but the flesh is weak. So one of the things that is really nice about leaving all of that behind is that you can now just be an ordinary person, being an animal, one of the many species on Earth. We're not actually superior and special, which is maybe a big realization and uncomfortable, which is also why religious people resist it. They want to consider yourselves animals, which is why they hated Copernicus and Galileo, who got tormented and tortured, right? And then Darwin, because it brought us all down to size. But on the other hand, it's kind of great to just be part of the earth and be one of the animals. I mean, the squirrels out there and the birds, they're just kicking back. They're not trying to earn their right to be alive. So there's something really peaceful and nice about not trying to be so special. And just live a normal life. And then, you're not just an object. You are, on the other hand, quite special, because you are unique, and you do have all kinds of things going on inside you. You do have all these inner resources that you were told you didn't have. You have, inner strength, and you do have tons of inner wisdom and intuition. And that still small voice you thought was God, and so it's kind of nice to rediscover yourself and start forming your identity and realizing what a wonderful individual you really are. And then other people as well. And it's also not a cookie cutter situation. We're not all trying to be like Jesus. We're being lots of people, lots of things. Artists and musicians and scientists and astronomers and, and if you look across history or even now, who is it making all the incredible works of art and literature and scientific discoveries?
It ain't fundamentalist Christians.
Yeah. It's the people that are living here that consider themselves part of the earth. It's not the people that are planning to leave any day that are not considering it worthwhile. So, some of you were talking about giving up really precious dreams and careers and passions because it wasn't worthwhile, right? Or you were told it wasn't worthwhile. And so, guess what? Yes, it is worthwhile. And we are here, and this is our life. So in that sense, atheism, if you want to put it that way, which by the way, I don't use the word a lot because it has a lot of connotation, and it's also just a negative. It just means you're not a theist. But on the other hand, if you don't believe that there's a hereafter or somebody that's going to solve everything and take care of you, if this is it, if it's up to us and we live here and this is our life, it's hugely life-affirming, isn't it? I remember being on a hike with my very religious sister and brother-in-law, and my husband and I, we were trying to have a good time, and we were joking around, being silly, and I said, you guys are going to have all eternity to be happy. We have to do it now. So, you're trying to live every day and notice things, pick up a flower and look at it, and look at it. Don't just say God's creation and praise God. Look at the flower. So you can have a much greater sense of presence. So back to relational presence. When you're relating to another person, they are not an object of conversion or an object of fellowship, which is what I realized a long time ago was the way that we as Christians were treating other people. Sheep or goats, right? Saved, non-saved. And with a person, a fellow believer, you're supposed to be fellowshipping and, supporting each other in the faith, building each other up, edifying, and all that, right? And making sure everybody is staying on the straight and narrow or doing whatever it is that's going to glorify God. You're not trying to help them blossom as a human being or, support them in discovering their passion or bring out their art or anything like that. You're only supposed to be supporting them in serving God. And then, of course, how do you treat the non-believer? As a real person? With, interest? I mean, are you curious? Are you respectful? Are you fascinated? Do you try to empower them to be everything they can be and love them for who they really are? Those of you that have done missionary work, how do you see other people? They're just a lost sheep, right? A lost sheep.
Targets for conversion.
Yeah. And so with if you let go of all of that, you have just a completely different opportunity to how you relate to other people. But before I tell you what the exercise is, why don't you tell me what your reaction is to what I'm saying?
I want to pick up on your idea of people